business aspects have really blown up on Pinterest. So business strategy, marketing, anything that has to do with business is kind of like a big topic now on Pinterest, which is awesome because who doesn't want to learn more information to help their business grow?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Empire Life podcast. I'm Allison Ramsey, the host. And at Empire Life, we mentor and coach female founders who are super scaling their businesses and wanting huge things out of life. And today we are here with Mackenzie Armstrong, and she is a Pinterest strategist for founders and entrepreneurs, especially that have blogs and podcasts. And I'll hand it over to her to intro herself a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie. Thank you so much for having me. I am a Pinterest strategist and I can talk about Pinterest all day long, no problems. So I am a Pinterest strategist. I started out my career as an elementary education teacher and transitioned to the online space after I had my kiddos and haven't looked back. So I empower entrepreneurs to grow their audience and email list using Pinterest organically.
That's incredible. And I can see how the two can segue together. Teaching, you're now mentoring or you're strategizing with these entrepreneurs and founders. And it's also super creative because it's all about the presentation on Pinterest. Well, I'm somewhat new to Pinterest. I think we've had it now like 2 years. It was one of the last social media platforms that we joined. We're averaging about 5,000 to 6,000 views a month, which is really incredible, and just uploading a ton of content there. And but I've seen that it really makes a difference with the image or video, or the idea pins get a lot more clicks when there's some kind of moving video there, and it's super creative. It's like an outlet, I think, for entrepreneurs to tap into that side of themselves.
For sure. And like the great thing about the fact that it's a visual search engine is you can really meet where people like to learn. If people are more drawn to, video, they can go to idea pins. If people are more drawn to stock photos or branded photos of you and your business, they can go there. Or people sometimes, I've seen that just like that plain colored background with the text overlay, something that they can really like see what your content is about, and they know that they need to go there and they can click through. So that's something that's great with Pinterest, because Pinterest is all about inspiring its users, and they really want to get people to where they need to be to learn. So, and that's kind of like where I fell in love with Pinterest being a teacher, is like Pinterest wants you to leave the platform and they want you to find the information that you need. They want you to go to that blog post, that podcast, that recipe or DIY project, whatever it is that you're searching for, and they want you to learn and to consume that information. So that's kind of really where I've really meshed well with Pinterest.
Something that I understand what you mean. That's a great point. And another area where I mesh really well with it is the analytic part about how the pen has a longer lifespan than almost any other social media. Like that part, I think, was what got me thinking, okay, team, we have to be there. Because when you post something on Instagram, I forgot what the exact analytic was, but there's a certain lifespan on average. At Pinterest, it could be years, it could be 5 years, and people are still clicking on your URL. Have you seen that too?
For sure. So like with Facebook and Instagram, you have like a 24 to 48 hour lifespan of your content. Whereas with Pinterest, you have 4+ months, because it's a search engine. People are actively searching for that content. So as like a blogger and a podcaster, that you continuously put out new episodes on your website. Well, sometimes your content can get buried on your website. People can't find what they're looking for. But with Pinterest, they can go on there and actively search for the content using the keywords and SEO, and they can find the blog post or the podcast that you've put out maybe a year ago that they're ready to consume, and it can take them right to that piece of content. So it really helps put everything kind of on an even playing field. And that's another thing, like with Pinterest, 98% of the brands on Pinterest are unbranded, meaning they're not like commercial brands. Yes, there's Nike and stuff and Coca-Cola on there, but technically everybody's on an even playing field. So you're not going up against like big commercial brands. You're going by your searchability, your SEO, your keywords that you're using to describe your content, which is awesome because in that way it really gets it gets your content seen by who's looking for it.
That's a great point because as you were talking, it also clicked through me. It's not as much about the followers because in the green room, I was talking to you about how, well, we're not growing in huge numbers in the last 2 years. I think we've been on it related with followers, yet our views are continuously going up and clicks. And I look at those kind of analytics too. And you were saying the clicks, the outbound clicks. And what was the other one?
So outbound clicks get people to your website and then saves. Saves
Oh,
really
yeah,
help
safe.
because that tells Pinterest that people are liking your content, which helps them boost it up and put it in front of more people.
Oh, so
So,
it's not because I feel like on Instagram, I don't know, maybe not as much with Facebook, but Instagram and Twitter, possibly it has more to do with how many followers you have,
mm,
or even that people respect your account. Kind of a weird, almost like a vanity metric, but it's not even really related to business, but it kind of is. And I don't feel like that as much on Pinterest.
yeah, Pinterest really takes into account when people leave or save that content because that's really where they learn about your audience and to show your content to the people that are looking, that are who they think would be a part of your audience. So kind of like, you're working with you're having your audience gravitate towards you with your keywords, but also Pinterest is like, oh, hey, this content. So Sally might really like this content. So let's show it to her as well. So it's like Pinterest is working for you as well as your research, your keyword research and things like that.
That's true. I use it for almost everything. To create a board when I want to get my hair cut, when I need to find a new outfit, and I want to show a stylist. So everything you can create a board for, and then it shows me more. Like it's clicking for me. That it shows me more underneath that. Also pins you might like, kind of like
Yep.
Amazon. You might like this product.
Yep. Suggested content, which is awesome. And the thing that's great is well, even before COVID, but really post COVID, people have been like in this mindset of trying to find that side hustle, trying to, bring income into your household. And so business aspects have really blown up on Pinterest. So like, business strategy, marketing, anything that has to do with business is kind of like a big topic now on Pinterest, which is awesome because who doesn't want to learn more information to help their business grow?
Yeah, for sure. And I need to look again about our SEO or keywords because I think we've been using some similar ones and probably we need to vary it for each post. And I want to dive right in to get more personal. I know we got really intense with Pinterest, and I'm sure that the audience will love that because I think it's still somewhat an untapped resource for sure.
For
I mean,
sure.
I felt like that because when I paused on getting on it for so long because I just what is that even for? Am I going to have any traction? And I think I actually listened to a podcast with a Pinterest strategist who was saying, well, so our key like potential clients are, I think the last time we checked, like 35 to 65 and women who have their own businesses who are wanting to scale. And that's a lot of people on Pinterest. That's almost all the people on Pinterest. It's like, why am I not there when they talked about the analytics of who's spending their time there?
For sure. It's definitely an untapped market.
Yeah,
So it's worth it.
it's worth it. Yeah, you can speak from experience. And Mackenzie, while you've been starting your own business, what are some of the challenges that have come up for you? It could be related with a business or personal and business. And how did those make you
Well,
stronger, like at the end of it?
some struggles that, of course, that imposter syndrome and that just being able to um believe in yourself, you know what I mean, and make sure that you're able to really do what you came to do. And being able to overcome that has been super beneficial because it's like, you know, I'm my own business. I don't have anybody working, you know, with me or for me and things like that. So that way, like it's up to me to make it happen. So I can't be weighed down by this imposter syndrome. I have to like build myself up to make sure like, yes, I can do this. I can do whatever I need to do. And whatever effort I put into it, that's what I get back. So I think that that's super beneficial. And then also another struggle was, you know, just being able to balance family life and work life. Being able to, okay, I'm dedicating this time to my family and I'm dedicating this time to my business. And really like speaking with my husband about it and being like, look, I really need time to focus. So I really need you to take the kids right now so I can get, you know, this chunk of whatever I'm doing whatever I'm doing in my business completed. So that way I can, you know, be there with my family and not constantly thinking about work.
Yeah, I had a similar. This is my third business, and I started the first one when my daughter was a baby. So similar. Well, I mean, you have a lot more going on. I felt like I was a single mom for most of my daughter's life, and so it definitely I'm relating really strongly to what you're saying that it relied on me if it didn't happen, and this is my third business where I have people on my team, but this is the first time that I've had a team. The first two, I didn't have a team, so to speak. And she would ask me, "Are you here, mommy? Like, where are you?" Because I would be, it's just so many things to think about. And that's great that you guys are on the same page and you have that support that you can knock it out because it's so much easier when you don't have that distraction. And I also think now that she's a teenager, she knows way more about business almost than if she got a 4-year degree, for example. I feel like
Oh,
I
for
have
sure.
like multiple PhDs in it. It's like, I know I don't. I have a master's not in business but in science, but I feel like after all this experience, I could have gotten like multiple PhDs, for example. And then by proxy, her seeing that or your kids seeing that, they're gonna know a lot about it. And especially if when you have a chance to talk to them and kind of involve them in the process, and she's working like she's also on the team when she's in her summer breaks and she can do certain things for the company at this point. I think she started around 7, like being able to do little tasks and learning more about the ins and outs of the business. But being able, like you've needed to do several times on the podcast, like, hey, mom's doing this right now. Like, you have to give me the space. I think is really great for kids because they learn more independence. They learn, like, this is a boundary and I need to respect this because when they're in the working world or they're in corporate or they have their own businesses, they're going to have good boundaries. Be like, this is my time. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to get this done. And they're seeing that example, from you.
For sure. And I definitely think that like I like the aspect of like, you know, I know that my daughters are gonna know that if they want to be home with their kids. Like to me, I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That was never anything that I ever thought that I wanted to do in my life. No. But you know, things change, life changes. So I like that I'm able to show them that yes, they can be a stay-at-home mom and they can still have a career and they can still, you know, um, grow their own business. And I think that that's super important because, you know, that wasn't something like when I was growing up, you know, it was very much, I was pushed into that. Not, and I mean, you know, that's what they did. That's what my parents did was working a 9 to 5. You know, your kids went to daycare, they went to school, and everybody reconvened at night. Well, now I'm excited that I can, you know, go on field trips with my kids and pick them up from school if they're sick and not have to worry about, you know, missing work or being a teacher. Like it's easier as a teacher going to school sick than it is to write substitute plans. So like so it's just it's a nice that I can really show them that they can have everything that they want and be able to juggle everything.
That's a great. That's so true. That's so true because Well, I transitioned in this company in Empire Life when Lily was about 7, and being there when she gets home or got home from school or being able to pick her up, I was able to get different feedback or like have very different kind of conversations than I'm getting home from work around 7. We're eating a fast dinner, giving her a bath, and super rushed, reading a few stories, and then it's time for bed.
You really get that, like, being able to be involved without being like always rushing. You know what I mean? Like you're able to really like hang out
Yeah.
with your kids, if you will, you know.
Yes,
And but
yeah.
and you can plan that time. You know, it's not like you're on somebody else's schedule. You're on your own schedule. It's your business. You can decide. Yes, you have deadlines, but you can plan ahead for that. So,
Oh, yeah, that's true too. And the depth of the conversations is wildly different when you're not rushed, or I'm driving and we have great conversations, and I know so much more about her and what's going on in her life and her friends, even what they're doing,
mhm.
and it's all what they're doing together. And I can't imagine missing out on that, or feeling. I know what it feels like to feel that rush because my first 2 businesses, I was working full time and doing the business
Mm.
when I got home from work. So, or on weekends. I definitely
Mm.
understand what you're talking about. And being able to
Mm.
be at home, or it's great to have. I mean, I don't know if that's a challenge for you. Sometimes it is for me that I start folding laundry, or I was like, "Oh, this laundry I didn't put away yesterday. I need to put it away like right now." And I do have to prioritize, like, okay, just because I'm at home, like these are my working hours, and I have a office space. This is also the first time I've had a designated office space in my adult life. So like when that door is closed and I'm in here and I'm working, and I think it's great to have those kind of parameters.
For sure, definitely. And like that's also with like small kids, you know, like this is my time, you know what I mean? Like I have to get things done. And I do a lot of like because it's my own, I'm running my own schedule, I'm able to do a lot of stuff when they're in their downtime, like taking naps and after bed and things like that, which works for me. So,
That's great. Yeah, I remember that. I remember having to. I mean, that's just pros and cons, right? Well, I mean, now that she's a teenager, she's on FaceTime or like always talking with her friends and wanting to hang out with her friends. So there is some more. It's just different, but there's also still some downtime. We're doing a lot of homework. Uh, I want to move on to the next one. This is a more lighter question, especially with your 3 young kids. Do you feel like you have somewhat of a morning routine?
well, right now I have a 7-month-old, so she kind of runs my morning routine now that it's summer. Like with my older kids in school, yes, we do definitely during school time we have a morning routine because we have to be at school at a certain time. And that actually seems to work better for me because it gets me up, it gets me out, it gets me moving. So I feel like it helps me start my day. A lot of the time my mornings are devoted to the kids just because they're just waking up and we're getting ready for the day. And then after, you know, mid morning they're kind of more self-sufficient, they're doing their own thing, they're playing and things like that. So I would say I do have a morning routine, but sometimes, you know, it does fluctuate depending on the time of year.
That makes a lot of sense. And I feel similarly with summer. Like, okay, I get to wake up a little bit later, but like, I'm not as motivated because there's not a time we have to drive and be at school.
Mhm, for sure. Mhm.
And how do you, Mackenzie, like when, especially with having young kids, and maybe there's a pool to like, am I supposed to be spending more time with them? Or yeah, like there's sometimes there could be some guilt or resistance. I mean, I feel like I still go through that sometimes, like, oh, and Lily needs this right now. I need to stop working and immediately go do this. There's still that pull, or there's some resistance sometimes of working more hours or putting more into the business and seeing it as if, oh, maybe this is taking away from from family. I know it's not, because I am a better version of myself, and I have a lot of success in my business. I feel much more fulfilled as a mom, or that makes me a better mom, I think. And what do you do when you feel any kind of resistance, or maybe where is the resistance coming from for you?
So definitely. So yes, I feel like because I have smaller kids, they demand that attention. And
Hmm.
sometimes I do have to be like, I feel like I kind of overcome that guilt a little bit by just being really like open with my kids. Like I'm all about like talking with my kids. So I really try to explain like, mommy has to do X, Y, and Z right now, but we'll definitely, play in a little bit. Like I definitely try to like give that reassuring of like, yes, I'm going to come back and we are going to do some things. And I feel like I get a lot of sometimes feel a bit guilty like when we have a busy weekend as a family or a busy week as a family and then I really have to like put up that barrier of like, I have to get some work done. That kind of, makes me feel guilty a bit just because I don't want to have to be that like rigid with my schedule when that's happening. But I really try to be open and honest with my kids. And like I said, my husband's here, so he kind of helps pick up the slack a little bit when it like mom can't be front and center doing whatever the kids need. But yeah, it's always there, but I always try to tell myself, I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing this so I can be home because if I was working outside the house, I definitely wouldn't have as much time as I do now with my kids. So I kind of just try to
I like
reel
that.
myself in a little bit, and just be like,
Yeah.
no, I'm doing this so that my kids are happy and we're all happy at home. And yes, there are some drawbacks and there is some guilt, but it's all part of the process. It all has you can't be in every place. You can't be in all places at once. So you have to have that give and take.
Yes, and the appreciation of you having the experience before of working, I'm sure, a ton of hours as a teacher, and it's never done. I've taught for a few years when my daughter was really little, but it's like the work is never done. And I just recently am retired professor. That was also then became a part-time professor for 5 years, I think. But it's like there's always something you can do. There's no it, so looking at it from that mindset of like what's comparatively, I think draws a lot of gratitude. And I love the way you said that.
Yeah, because I really try to like keep in mind that like yes, like I'm fortunate that I can be home with my kids, and I really kind of like live in that aspect of like, you know, I have the support at home. I have the ability to do what I want to do and still stay home with my kiddo. So it's kind of like, you gotta take the good with the bad and just kind of plow through it. So
That's so great. So I want to dive into your childhood story. This is one of my favorite questions. A childhood story reflecting why you do what you do.
so the story doesn't necessarily reflect like the Pinterest aspect of it, but as the like entrepreneur, like I knew that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So when I was a kid, I was the kid that had like the candy stand in the front yard selling like all the candy to the neighborhood kids, and like the parents were getting angry with me because like they're spending all their money on the candy. So like ultimately one summer my dad made a deal with me that it was like, okay, so he would match whatever money I raised or whatever money I came up with to buy a bike. So ultimately I was able to sell candy all summer and was able to raise enough money, have enough, return to go halvesies on a bike with my dad, which is awesome. So he was able to
That is
make
awesome.
up the difference. So I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and always that question of like, what did you want to be when you were a kid? And it was that, and I just totally like went a different route with teaching, and it came full circle, and I came back to really what I thought I was going to do when I was little. So that's something that's super cool, I think, because how many people get to say that they did what they wanted to do when they were a kid?
That's so true. I meet a lot of people who are like later in life, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna start a business," and it's rare that people do, follow through with that. For myself, I think I had a lot of similar experiences, but I didn't ever know. Maybe there was a lot of poverty around me. I didn't really feel maybe that was an option or see it as, oh, that's something I could really make a lot of money in until
Mhm.
later. Or, well, it just, I had to. It was like, no, I have to do this. It's such a
Mhm.
burning drive in me. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but I have to figure it out. And I'm sure there's other people who are making a lot of money in this. I'm sure that it's possible. I'm going to learn the ropes, or learn as I go. I don't know if
For
you
sure.
had some of the similar feelings, like this has to be my path. Like, there's no other
Oh,
option.
oh, definitely. And like, it's just a matter of like, just taking that first step. You have to take the leap and you have to take the leap of faith. Like, I started off with like, I was able to go into teaching online. That kind of helped me kind of like get my feet wet a little bit. But then I was like, the hours are crazy. So this is still not where I want to be. And I just have to commit. I just have to commit. So I bought my first course and never looked back. So it kind of really helped me kind of understand because that was a totally new world for me being like an entrepreneur online. And I just did it. You just have to do it. You just have to get out there. So
You do, and one video on YouTube or one blog is better than none. And
exactly.
I always tell myself, done is better than perfect. Like, there's no such thing as perfect.
And just taking that first leap of faith, that first step, even if you don't succeed, even if it doesn't go anywhere, at least you can say you tried and you learned from that experience and make your next experience even better from learning from
It
those
does.
trials and tribulations.
Yes, it does. It does get better. I mean, we only build from that experience. You're so right. And if you were starting a new business today, Mackenzie, what do you think are some of the top 5 things you wish you had known before, or that you've learned? Like, I guess building up from what you just said too.
For sure. So definitely just like taking that first leap of faith sooner. I wish I would have done that sooner. I wish I would have niched down earlier. I wish I would have really figured out and honed in what I wanted to do in my business. Because I think I would have gone a lot further. 3 is start growing my email list immediately. I did not even like that was ever a thing that I even thought of, but now I wish I had started way earlier than I did. Um, I would say find because being an entrepreneur, especially online, it can get not lonely, but like I know for me personally, like not my family doesn't always understand what I'm talking about or like what I'm going through. So finding somebody in business online that you can be friends with, that you can kind of like bounce ideas off of and kind of just have that conversation of like like check-ins, that accountability, just to have somebody to talk to that knows what you're going through, I think is something that's super beneficial. And really kind of like get to know people that are adjacent to your niche. I think that's something that's super important as well because that can definitely help you build your business if you make those relationships early on and get those relationships with those people that to get them to like know and trust you so that way you can have that support and they can be they can help bring in business for you. They can help um it's I always like to say it's not what you know, it's who you know. So like if you're able to build those relationships with people, then they can help build up your business, you can help build up their business and really create an awesome ecosystem of people that you like to interact with.
That's great advice. And refer other
Mhm.
people to them, and maybe a person can even give some kind of commission if they want to. It's up to the
Mhm.
business owner. We have several people like that, that specialize in females who specialize in sales, or like a sales expert, or now a Pinterest expert, and or Instagram expert, Facebook ads. Because we at Empire Life, we don't do any done for you services. I used to at the very beginning of looking at their websites and their whole sales funnel and like connecting that to ConvertKit, helping them make email sequences, like build their email list, like you're talking about. And I was gonna say too, I know this is kind of like a secret in a way. With my team, we also like if someone reaches out to me, like a cold sales pitch that I don't really know them, they get added to our email list. So it's like if you're interested, you want to really know more about our business because you've reached out to me. You know, this is this is a way. This is a way. That's like a little undercover secret to like build your email list because they're giving you their email and they're. I mean, even if they're not expressing interest, they can always unsubscribe. And I also don't take unsubscribes personally anymore. I think I used to check that and I tried to stop checking it. Like if someone doesn't want to get it, then that's okay. And I would also add to that to send out a regular email. So like we have people who look forward to our emails these days. And we do a Thursday newsletter and then we do a Friday about the blog. And then if there's a podcast that month, we do an extra Thursday one all about the podcast and that person. And we also feature a female founder that's a prominent person in one of our online communities. And there's 5.5 million at this point. So there's a lot of amazing female founders to choose from who we want to feature, and we do that complimentary. Or like we've had people ask us, is that a fee? And like, no, we just want to feature you. We want everybody on our email list to know about you because you are, really contributing to our community, and we want to give back to you. And I'd say stay consistent and try to have at least maybe a newsletter. I think that helps to build the email list.
Definitely, because that's something that, that when I started my business, I really kind of focused on that social media, that Facebook and Instagram, but really you don't own that audience. You don't own that audience. You don't own that list. Really building your email list is where you get to own that because, how many people have been put in Facebook jail and then they can't reach their their audience. But if you have that email list, you're able to still nurture your audience with your content because that's something that they can't take away from you. You know what I mean? Like that's a part of your business. So I definitely think like that newsletter nurturing is like super important. So definitely.
I had a Instagram just shut down towards the beginning, like just closed for no reason. I couldn't access it anymore and it's just gone. And there was so we had an Empire Life community Instagram, and we still have the Empire Life Academy Instagram. That's kind of like a business. It's a business profile. And then I have a personal one that's also business. And the community one, it was like over 10,000 followers and it's just poof, gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's just gone. So
that's the worst.
It's like saying from personal experience that I wasn't even put in Instagram jail. It was just, we don't even think this is you because I guess it wasn't like it's not a person or it was because I've seen some businesses have one just for their community to like get together, and that was my intention. And it was growing rapidly with, I guess they didn't think it was me, and poof, gone. And so we have the Empire Life Academy one, that's our business one now, and I think it has close to 10,000. We've built it up over time. And then the personal one that's like 35,000 for me and the business. I definitely agree with what you're saying, just from personal experience. Not rely on that too much because it can just be closed for no reason and no indication or message or anything.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Oh, and I love how they're like, oh, we can't get it back. But I'm like, I'm sure you guys can reopen my group that you just closed. Like, come on now. But
well, even finding somebody to ask is a task in of itself. Like, who do you even ask about that?
That's
or
true.
Will they even get back to you? I've definitely heard about that. like Instagram jail and Facebook jail, or what's it called? Shadow bans. So you don't even realize that. I guess that's kind of similar to what you're talking about. But I've also been shadow banned where a lot of people are not seeing my content for
Gotcha.
who knows what reason. And then they start seeing my content and then they don't. So we just continuously now, we just put out a lot of content that's, I mean, really high quality content. And if people see it, they do. The people who are supposed to, I've learned to kind of like let it go. The people who are supposed to see it, our community keeps growing. So we're doing something right. And before we hop off, Mackenzie, so we're running almost out of time. What do you feel like are the top 3 concepts that you want to leave the audience with? Or it could be 1 or 2, what come up for you?
I would say first is, in whatever businesses that you're trying to grow, to just, go full force and really like put your effort there, because it might not benefit, it might not pay off today, it might not pay off tomorrow, but it's definitely going to get you where you want to be. And then also, being a Pinterest strategist, I would say don't underestimate Pinterest. It's definitely worth the time and effort to put your content on there, because it's a free marketing tool for you. So just just start in all aspects of business, just start. So
Yeah, even one idea pin, one. Oh, I mean, we have we follow more people than we have followers, and I'm okay with that too on Pinterest, because there's some people I want to see all their pins. I want to get notifications when new ones come out.
it might be scary, but nothing's going to happen unless you start. So
Yes. Amen. Oh, it's so great talking to you, Mackenzie. Thank you for being on the podcast. It's great to have you today.
of course, thank you so much for having me.